Hello, and today we're going to talk about chord inversions. And this is a very important step for our linking of all of the piano chords. There are actually three ways we can play basic piano chord, be it major, minor, or diminished. Let's look at major. So C major, we know this one pretty well now. There are actually two other ways we can play this chord using what we call inversions. This is what we call position A, the root of the chord. It's where the C is the lowest note, the E is the note in the middle, and of course the G is the note at the top. But we actually don't have to just play it that way. There are so many ways we can play a C major chord. And the other way we can play it is by taking the C and placing it an octave higher, and this is a C major chord. Again, it's just in a different order. It's E, G, C, not C, E, G. It doesn't actually exclusively have to be in this order. It's just an easy way to look at it, but we can also play it in this order. E, G, C. And we can also play it in this order. G, C, E. So we got C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E. We call this the root chord, the first inversion, the second inversion. I keep my finger in the same, using fingers 1, 3 and 5. C, E, G, E, G, C. It's a bit easy to go 1, 2, 5 with the finger in here. And then G, C, E, the finger in 1, 3 and 5. Root, first inversion, second inversion. So why do we play chords like that? Why play them in different positions like that? Well, there's a very good reason for that, and that's for convenience. Because often in chord progressions, when we're jumping, like going chords 1 to 5, to chord 6 to 4, we're jumping, and both hands are moving in the same direction. And that can get tedious after a while. There are more interesting ways we can arrange the chords. So I'm going to show you a really cool trick now. This is a C major chord. Chord 1. This is an F major chord. Chord 4. So I could do this. Chord 1. Chord 4. Jumping up by 4. But there's a more sophisticated way I could do it. I could get this F major chord and get the C that's at the top of the F major chord and put it down an octave. So I've got this. So that's an F major chord, that is, but so is this. Now let's go back to that first chord, the C major chord. Now I can just lift the top two notes and I have an F major chord, a chord 4. I've just changed from C major to F major, but I've only lifted the top two notes. So I've kept the C in the same place, in the same position, because both chords have that note in common. Here's a famous example. John Lennon's Imagine. He doesn't play it in this key, he plays it in D major, but he uses this configuration to go between those famous. I think that's what he does to the chord. He just breaks it up. So that's just an interesting comparison. And a lot of other songs do it. So many songs actually do this. Going from chord 1 to chord 4, but I'm only lifting the top two notes. So how do we practice this, and how do we apply it to a string of chords in a song? Well, I'm going to show you a really good exercise for that. So this is really the arithmetic behind it. If the difference between two chords is 4 notes, a fourth interval, like C major to F major, 1, 2, 3, 4, or D minor, or D major, it could be minor or major, to 5, 2 to 5, 3 to 6. So if it's going 1, 4, 2, 5 or 3, 6, the difference is a fourth interval between them. All I have to do is lift the top two notes of the chord and I have a successful chord inversion without having to jump up. So here's a very nice progression I can practice in C major scale. Chord 1. Chord 4. This doesn't change what I do with my left hand. I still play the root of the chord in the left. chord 2. Now that's a smooth movement to 2. But then I can go to chord 5 just by lifting the top 2 notes. Chord 3. Then I can go to chord 6 just by lifting the top 2 notes. Chord 4. And chord 1. And I return to chord 1 just by dropping the bottom 2 notes. So I could play it like this, chord 1, chord 4, I could just be jumping and playing all the notes in root, which is what we've been doing so far, or I could use inversions. So I'm playing them all in root, chord 6, chord 4, chord 1, or I could do it like this, chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, chord 1. And of course, we can do this in all of the other scales. G major, chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, remember the F sharp, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, finishing on chord 1 in first position. Let's do it in D major. Chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, chord 1, finishing in first position. A major, chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, finishing on chord 1 in first position. E major, chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, finishing on chord 1 in first position. Let's try some other keys. Let's try B flat major, chord 1, chord 4, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 2, chord 5, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 3, chord 6, lifting the top 2 notes, chord 4, finishing on chord 1 in first position, and so on. You can practice this in all of the keys. A little more tricky, and if you do find it really tricky at first, just focus in C major, because at least you can see the movement of the top 2 notes going up. And then you go to the root chord. And when you look at chord progressions, you usually can just look at 2 chords that are together. You're going from chord 1 to chord whatever, chord 3 or 4 or 5. There's always an easier way to get there rather than just jumping up. And so I'm going to show you some interesting relationships there, all in C major, so it's really clear. So we know if the difference is a 4th interval, 1 to 4, you just need to lift the top 2 notes. If the difference is 1 to 5, this is quite interesting, 1 all the way up to 5, that's a bit of a jump. But we can go 1 to 5 just by dropping the bottom 2 notes. That's chord 5, B, D, G. Rather than playing G, B, D up there, G they have in common, so you just drop the bottom notes. So C major, chord 1, chord 5. Rather than doing this, chord 1, jumping up to 5, chord 1, chord 5. We could also do it like this, chord 2, chord 6. So I just drop those bottom 2 notes to get to 6. Chord 4, chord 1 by dropping the bottom 2 notes. So 1 to 5. Here's another one. What about 1 to 3? Well, I could do this. 1 to 3 just by dropping the bottom note only. 1 to 3. experiment with different arrangements of chords. Rather than just playing them all in root positions, you can play them inversions to get a smoother change between the two chords. Now, you can't become a master at this overnight. Some people have been playing piano their whole life and they still don't know how to do this. They need the composer to tell them how to do it on the musical arrangement. And I'm teaching you how to arrange yourself, how to be as smart as the composer. So I don't expect you to be able to do this overnight, but I'm explaining the principles for you to sit there and have fun and experiment with them on the piano, and they're there to be used. So enjoy yourself, empower yourself, and have fun practicing these wonderful techniques. 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, back to 1. Have some fun.